Yes, everybody, welcome back to Talking Wolves. Welcome back to a brand new match preview on the channel as we have the penultimate game of the 24-25 Premier League season for Wolves, the final away game of the season, up against FA Cup winners Crystal Palace. Their first game back after winning the FA Cup, which makes this game so interesting because it could be an absolute bore fest. It could be a really interesting battle. I really don't know what to make of it, but we'll get into it, give my thoughts. We've had Vitor Pereira's pre-match press conference, and we'll have the thoughts of Palace fan D later on in the video. But before we crack on, big shout out to our channel partners for this video, Match Bingo. It basically combines two things that a lot of us love to do whenever there's a match day: football and betting. Over £200,000 has been paid out to players so far by taking the sports betting, football and bingo, combining them all into one brilliant app. So make sure you get your bingo card for tomorrow's game between Palace and Wolves. And click through with the link in the top of the description or use a QR code on the screen right now. I think there's buy 4 bingo cards, get 1 free as an offer right now. I tried it at the FA Cup final, came very close. Tried it on the darts last week as well. It's really good fun, so be sure to go and check them out using the link in the top of the description down below. But Wolves travelling to Palace for the final away game of the season. We have had just Vitor's pre-match press conference, of course, congratulating Crystal Palace on that win. And I really do think it gives hope to teams in and around the stature and size of Wolves that we could go on and push on to win these sort of trophies. And you know, we've had decent runs over the last couple of years. You know, Bournemouth, we lost out on penalties, could have been completely different. Losing out to Coventry in the quarterfinals the season before as well. So I really hope, you know, one day it just all falls into place, because my word, you know, there were a lot of emotions in that Crystal Palace end. I'm not sure if I'll be able to control my emotions either, to be honest. Fantastic moment for them. But yeah, Vitor Pereira's pretty much press conference, probably not as excited as he normally is. I think he's sort of appreciated now that I think the players realise that there isn't a lot to play for. There's still quite a lot of prize money in it, to be fair. Wolves win tomorrow, they're pretty much guaranteed to finish 13th or 14th. Loss, we can still slip down to 17th, but you know, with West Ham, you know, Spurs and United haven't got huge amounts to play for either. Wolves might be safe in around, more than likely I think we're going to probably finish 14th, which again is a decent amount of prize money considering where 5-6 weeks ago I had no doubt we'd be finishing 17th. So the fact that we're in the place where we are now is, you know, credit to Vitor and credit to him, obviously, with a nomination for manager of the year as well. But yeah, I think, like I said, I think he sort of appreciated it now. He wasn't excited. There was just certain things he was saying that I think he knows he's ready for a little bit of a rest now, basically. 2 players that have been confirmed out by Vitor: Sam Johnston and Tommy Doyle. Interesting. He said they both had small injuries, but ultimately we know probably both of those are on their way out in some capacity this summer. I don't know if they're genuine injuries or basically just said to them, look, you're not going to be playing, you're not going to be part of my plans between now and the end of the campaign. I don't know. Crystal Palace, in terms of their outs, we didn't really discuss it much with D later on in the video, but Adam Wharton and Mark Gahey are both out for Palace. They're big losses for Crystal Palace, so there will be some sort of rotation for them, which you probably would expect anyway after their FA Cup win. And what I think of this game, it's so difficult to predict because there's 2 ways you can look at it. This Palace going to have their sort of hangover. They're going to be all overexcited and tired after quite a grueling game on Saturday, which is fair enough, and obviously got players missing. But I think going to Selhurst Park tomorrow, the atmosphere is going to be ridiculous. The players may be on a high as well, and that's why I think this is going to be a really tricky game for Wolves. Our form against Palace overall hasn't been great. Our form in the final away game of seasons hasn't been great either. So not many positive things pointing in Wolves' direction, to be completely honest. But let's jump into my team prediction now, and I'm going with what Vitor probably would say is now he's tried and tested, to be honest. And fingers crossed Jorgen Strand Larsen is back and fully fit to start, because we've really missed him the last 2 games. No surprise that we've unfortunately lost the games which he hasn't started in. So I've gone with Jose Sarr in goal, Semedo and Ait Nouri at wing back, Agbadou, Totti and Matt Doherty at centre back. The 2 midfielders of João Gomez and Andre front three of Marshall Manetti, Mateus Cunha, and Jurgen Strand Larsen. Could be a massive week now because, there's only 5 days left of the season. We play our final game on Sunday against Brentford. This time next week, we may or may not, but I'm sure we will know the future of Nelson Semedo. Pablo Sarabia is another player to consider in that as well, but we'll have loads of content and discussing this sort of thing over the next week or so. But they're very, very interesting issues. Again, Vitor was asked about both of those. Played it very, very safe. He's already said he wants Nelson to stay, but he doesn't know anything else on that. He was sort of complimentary towards Pablo Sarabia, although he didn't really say whether or not he wanted him to stay, but very sort of, difficult to say about that. And again, Cunha, he was asked about Cunha's future. He said he didn't know, he knows the same as us apparently on that, although has been reports today of him edging closer to a move to Manchester United. So, it's difficult because, like I said, the season is done. I really wanted to end the season as strong as we can. Obviously, we've lost the last 2 games. I would hate for us not to win either the game against Palace or the game against Brentford. I think we need to try and win one of those just to take a little bit of momentum and happiness back into the the end of the season. But we'll see. But let's jump into my opposition perspective now with D to give his thoughts on Crystal Palace, the emotions after that FA Cup win, and how he thinks it will affect the squad going into tomorrow's game. So then, guys, it's great to have D alongside me once again to talk all things Palace ahead of this week's game at Selhurst Park. D, I'm sure you've had a smile all weekend. I'm not sure if you've recovered yet, but I mean, congratulations firstly. Thank you for jumping back on the channel. How was it on Saturday? I'm sure you were at Wembley. What an experience.
Yeah, well, thank you for having me on again. And honestly, every time we come on here, we're normally talking about, we're 12th, 13th or something like that. Can we push for Europe? And yeah, this weekend was a bit different. Very different in Palace's history. It's the first time ever we've managed to win the FA Cup. As you said, I'm recovering. I think that's the stage I'm at. My voice keeps going and coming back. But yeah, it was unreal. It was unreal. The atmosphere was brilliant. Honestly, the full-time whistles, we've never done it before, so I didn't know really what to expect, and Palace fans were in the same boat. Normally, when you win a trophy, you're expecting all smiles and everyone cheering. There were smiles, of course, but there were lots of high emotions and lots of tears as well. You'd have thought we might have lost that final rather than winning it. And the reason for that is, the older generation, some Palace fans who support this club for like 60 years, 70 years of their life or 50 years of their life, they've never seen this moment. They've never had, for example, they've had their fathers who they've used to go to games with. Unfortunately, they couldn't make it to this one, who you haven't seen this moment. So the emotions were massively high. And even earlier on in the season, we lost a young Palace fan named Alfie. So it's not just the older generation, it's the younger one. I feel privileged to even be in this position to experience Palace winning the first trophy. And I think for that reason, the emotions were high. And as the days are going by, that's more turning from emotion, like teary emotion, rather to smiles and like getting ready now because we've got parade following week, Monday. Of course, the last home game of the season is against you lot on Tuesday night as well. So we're kind of getting excited for that. But in the first 48 hours or so, it's been incredible. It's been incredible. There was Palace fans from all over the world at the game. And yeah, look, you saw it. The chairman was there with the trophy. Joel Ward, it was his final game. He's been at the club for 13 years, running around with the trophy. 2 players ended the game in hospital. They couldn't even celebrate it, Gahey and Wharton, because of concussion protocols. Like, they literally put the bodies on the line. So yeah, look, we managed to get it done in the end. And honestly, I never thought I'll see the day, but right now I'm just literally soaking it all in. And I don't think it's only us. I think it's the whole club right now. So probably a good time to face us. Maybe, I don't know.
We'll get on to that in a sec. I mean, it's an amazing thing. I think it gives hope for clubs, similar size to us guys. I think Wolves, Palace. I think Palace, obviously Newcastle did it. They ended a long drought of winning the trophy earlier on this year. You guys have done it now. I think there's a lot of clubs now in the Premier League that maybe haven't really had the taste of silverware in in the modern era. That you're starting to have a little bit of belief, but an amazing result. I think you always know going into that game you were never going to outplay Manchester City, but what you had to do is take your opportunity. We mentioned it just before we started, maybe a little bit of luck on your side, but at the end of the day, I think City have had the rub of the green many, many times before, so it's nice to see it go the opposite way, and it's great to see a team outside of the teams like Liverpool, Chelsea, and Man City, to winning a title as well. But yeah, you mentioned then going into this game, dude, because part of me thinks the Palace players are going to be on a high, maybe some recovering still from celebrations over the weekend, and maybe it's a good time to play Palace. I think I would definitely be a lot more comfortable in saying that if the game is at Molineux, but because it's at Selhurst Park, I think the atmosphere is going to be amazing. I think almost the fans, probably your fans, are going to be like the 12th man. It's going to be very, very difficult for Wolves, in my opinion. What do you think?
It's a very good question. That, to be fair, I haven't really thought about Wolves the Tuesday night game.
You probably
Apart from,
don't
like,
care about
actually,
the result or
no,
fixture.
no, no. I've thought about the game in terms of what's going to happen after the game. It's our final home game of the season, and then we've got, as I said, we've got parade coming up the following bank holiday on Monday. But I've never really kind of processed how we're going to approach the Wolves game. Knowing Oliver Glasner, he's a freak of a manager. Probably after the cup finals, probably be preparing for the game. But I think the emotions and what I saw at full time, I feel like they're at an all-time high. Oliver Glasner's actually had his press conference, which I couldn't catch up on a bit earlier on before recording this, so I wonder what he said. But I think this, look, as you said, playing at home might make it a bit more different. We might see a few rotations. As I said, Joe Ward is leaving the football club, so I expect him to start this game.
Yeah.
And there is something still on the line in terms of record points tally. We're not far off it. So this game means something in regards to that. But I think the players, whoever plays, will be up for it. I think will be enjoying the moment as well. I don't think Palace are just going to be completely on the beach. I think we're going to be up for the game, but I think it's still good time to face us because look, we're all human. There's only so much a manager can do after winning a cup final, and the players' emotions. I saw it myself first time.
Yeah.
Like they were just over the moon, and they're happy, but they know. Like we were singing about it after the game. Dean Henderson, I don't know if you've seen a video, singing about 12th again. Who gives a F? We won the FA Cup. Like that, that's the mentality we're in right now. So I think if you lot turn up, you have a decent opportunity. But I don't think Palace will also just sit back completely and ignore the game. I think we'll turn up in some regards.
Yeah, I don't think there's much for either side to play for other than league places and bit of momentum, maybe a bit more for Wolves to play for. I mean, I'm just looking at the league table now. You guys are pretty much safe in 12th. I don't think you're going to drop down I don't think you can drop down. You can maybe move up a place if you win both of your games, but Palace have pretty much got 12th locked down anyway. Wolves, like I said, a couple of league places, so a little bit of money involved, but obviously winning the FA Cup gives you European football, which I'm sure you're buzzing for as well. Do you think this is a big opportunity now for you to keep hold of players? Because I have no doubt going into the summer, if Palace hadn't have won this game, Eze, Gahey, Wharton, there would have been loads of speculation and many more players, I'm sure, speculation over their futures. Do you think European football and obviously silverware being secured gives Palace a much better chance of keeping hold of these players?
I think so, 100%. It does, but it doesn't mean that we will be able to. But knowing this, I've said this on a few different streams as well. Palace are known, I don't know why, from the neutrals, they're known to be like a selling club. However, since we got promoted to the Premier League, unless you want to include Joachim Andersen there, look, Zaha didn't get sold. His contract ran out and he ended up moving on, and we had Eze Elise at the time. The only players that we sold as like a selling club thing was Wan-Bissaka to Man United, and maybe Michael Elise, who signed the extension for another year rather than leaving the summer before and end up leaving the club. So Steve Parish in general, he does play hard. We saw it with Gahey in the Newcastle drama. So it's not like as soon as money's offered, they're going to be gone. Now I think this changes the dynamics. Potentially with Mark Gahey, that's going to be the biggest factor to see if European football will keep him at the club for maybe sign another extension for another year, because we were all banking on Gahey to leave this summer because his contract runs out the following summer. So that's going to be one to look out for. But I don't think we're going to lose that many players. I think Glasner's already said it. He's staying at the football club. Chris Richards, after the game, spoke about saying, why would the players want to leave? I mean, Gahey, before European football and before the silverware, was already England starter, playing in Premier League week in, week out. Yeah. So if we can somehow convince him for another year, that'd be great. Then after a year, we can do what we've done with Elise, sell him on, which was basically like a verbal agreement. And he ended up now joining Bayern Munich, for example, so we can do something similar to Gahey. But I don't see Wharton leaving. Maybe Eze could happen because he has a release clause, but only time will tell. Only time will tell. I think I think the squad will be meeting up with the owners, because I think the owner, Steve Parish, is very close to all the players and they'll be having conversations. But I'm not as worried about that. Right now, the talks are how many more players do we need to sign? And Steve Parish already said it. He said that after the semi-final win against Aston Villa, one of the agents of one of the players that we won already called him up before he's playing hard to get, called him up saying, you know what, we're actually interested now.
Yeah.
And now we've won the cup and European football. I think that's going to only help us to improve the squad even further because we can offer that to players. So yeah, I'm more looking at the positives rather than the negatives at this point, to be fair. But yeah, maybe one or two players could potentially leave, but I don't think that would change everything for us because I think we've got players like Mateta, for example, is a massive player. If we can keep him or Wharton, I think that'll still be great for us.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, ignoring the sort of the winning the FA Cup, in your opinion, how do you think the Premier League season's gone? Because I felt that Palace have always been fairly secure. I think the reverse fixture in Molineux, both teams were under a little bit of pressure at the time, weren't we? And it was a draw in the end at Molineux. I think since then you guys continued and grew and got some big wins around Christmas and going into the new year, and have pretty much been safe for a long while. How have you felt the season's gone? Has it just been another sort of one of those years? But I suppose, I think any team in the Premier League would finish 12th or 13th if you got given the FA Cup trophy. So I suppose that tops everything, doesn't it, really?
Yeah, 11 out of 10 for me this season. If you look at the season as a whole, we European football, we've never achieved that before. We managed to get that whilst finishing 12th. I think that's typical Palace because we always, there's jokes about us finishing 12th and 13th every year. But yeah, look, trophy, playing Europe next year, that's all fantastic. But in terms of the Premier League season, we started off very slow. It took us about 9 games to get our first win, and that was against Tottenham. And Glasner said it at the start of the season. He said, look, there's no excuses. We signed players late. We had many players in international competitions with England, with Olympics. Colombia, and Mateta with the Olympics. And we didn't properly start with the whole squad training together till mid-September. So it took us a while for us to get to that point. So we have to make sure this summer we sign players earlier on. I think this manager now will have the backing of the football club. There's no doubt about that. So I think we'll make earlier signings. But I think, second half of the season we've been brilliant. To be fair, if we ignore the City game and the Newcastle game, the league games, which I think actually helped us to win this cup, because I feel like we needed something like that. Up until that point, last month, we only conceded 12 goals away from home. We were one of the best teams away from home in the league. It was our home form which was a struggle. But yeah, second half of the season, I think in terms of points tally, Palace was definitely up there with the likes of Arsenal and Liverpool. But we just started the season so slow that, we were still around 12th, 11th because we were just playing catch-up game. But hopefully going into next summer, we don't repeat the same mistakes and we sign the players earlier on so we can just start a bit stronger than we did this season. But yeah, as you say, FA Cup and European football confirmed right now. This game and the Liverpool game next weekend, for example, that game is extremely pointless. They've won the league. We won the FA Cup. We both got praised the day after. So it's like, I don't know what's going to happen there. It's going to be like drunk footballers just running around the football pitch. So yeah, we'll see what happens with that. But right now, yeah, as I said, we're just enjoying the moment and I'm just happy with what's happened.
Yeah, I think with European football, it starts quite early as well, I suppose, because I'd assume, will you still have to qualify or do you go straight into you go straight into the league phase? Yeah. Oh, yeah. So that's fine. The league phase. Yeah. Sorry. So, but I'd assume he'll want Glasner and the squad would want players in, like you said earlier, sooner rather than later. But even just looking at the table, because it's been such a strange season for Palace. If you got 2 wins earlier on in the campaign, you talk about that sort of slow start, you would have been in the race for a European spot anyway. You weren't far away, to be honest. Yeah. And that's why it'll be interesting next season. I think, I'm sure you'll try and do some European away days if you can. But I mean, it's going to be a fantastic experience. But D, before you finish off, score prediction, what are you thinking? I mean, it's so hard. I think it's so hard to predict because you don't know which Wolves team are going to turn up, but you don't know which Palace team are going to turn up as well.
Yeah, I was thinking when I was talking about Palace, maybe just sitting off a bit and not giving 100% in terms of effort. I think they'll give effort 100%, but I don't know if they'll be locked in mentally 100% for this game. I forgot that you lot don't have much to play for either, to be fair. So I don't know how that'll work out, but I'm going to go for 2-1 Palace. I think after the cup win, final home game of the season, the atmosphere will be brilliant, of course. Yeah. So I'm just going to back the boys, but I wouldn't be surprised. Honestly, if you beat us 10-0, I wouldn't care. I genuinely wouldn't care because right now it's like, it is pointless to me. But of course, as you said, if you look at the league position, maybe we can finish 1 or 2 spaces above. But saying that, after winning the FA Cup and qualifying for Europa League, that's an extra £5 million just there by not even playing a single game. So it's like that 1 or 2 positions can be covered by just winning that trophy.
Yeah.
So it's not that much.
Is it so? Have you equalled your best points, Premier League points tally? I think you need 1 point. I think
we need one more point. Yeah. I believe we're on 49 points. I don't know if you have the league table.
Yeah, you're on 49. Yeah.
Yeah. We need 1 more point to beat it. So yeah, we've never hit 50 points before. So yeah, we can potentially do that in this game. Even if it's a draw, I'll take that. But yeah, let it be an exciting game.
Yeah,
just have fun. That's what for Palace fans. We're just gonna be having fun anyway. So yeah, let's just see what happens.
I don't know. D, thanks for jumping on again. Where can people find you and their and your content if they wish?
Yeah, thank you for having me on Back of the Nest on YouTube and all social media platforms. Right now we're just pretty much just celebrating. We've done a match reaction yesterday. It was 2.5 hours long.
I saw that earlier. I was just checking to see what sort of content.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, 2.5 hours long, and we didn't even really talk about the game. Everyone was jumping on and talking about their emotions and why it means so much to them. So yeah, right now we're just living in the moment. But if you want to come over, check us out. Yeah, Back of the Nest.
Perfect, mate. I'll make sure I leave a link to it in the description. And yeah, after Tuesday, mate, all the best for the final game and the summer. And I'm sure I'll catch you next season as well.
Yeah, likewise too. Thank you, man.
Thank you. So big thanks to D. I'll make sure I leave a link to him and the Back of the Nest guys in the description down below. And let me know your thoughts and score predictions. It's a really one to predict for me. I'm going to go with a 1-1 draw. I just think, like I said earlier, the factors of them really being on a high or possibly should have the edge over them. I just think in terms of the league position, there is still a good chunk of money there. It would be really beneficial. And if I know that, say, I don't know, let me quickly get the prize money off the top of my head here. Prize money in the Premier League. So as it stands, between, 17th, which I don't think we will finish because it would need West Ham, United and Spurs all to, match or better both our results, or at least our result for the final game. There's 11 million for 17th and 19th million for 14th. If I was Jeff Shee or Matt Hobbs, whoever's in charge of it, I'd say, lads, if you can make sure we stay at least 14th, I will give you all an extra 10 grand or something like that. Because the difference actually is 3 million, which is a decent amount of money. So I'm sure the players will probably want a little bit more than that. But, I would maybe add some extra incentive because, there's a lot of money for the club there within those next two league places, really. Or even better, if we can jump up to 13th. We'd have to win tomorrow and make sure we win on the final game against Brentford. It'll go up to 22.5 million. So there's a good chunk of money there, and ultimately that will pay signing on fees, pay extra wages, or help towards transfer budget and overall sustainability of the football club. So that's all for today, guys. As always, be sure to hit the like button. Be sure to go and check out Match Bingo. It's a great app, so make sure you go and check them out, and I'll be getting involved this week and see if you can beat me to getting a bingo. Link in the top of the description down below. Let me know your thoughts and score predictions in the comment section down below. As always, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, guys, and I'll catch you on the next one.